I think most Tribe fans kind of feared that was happening, you know, that they would lose Carlos Santana. I have to admit, I was a little surprised at Philadelphia Phillies. A little surprised Santana got $60 million for 3 years. $60 million for 3 years. It's the same amount of money the Indians paid Edwin Encarnacion a year ago. When Chris Antonetti, the Indians president, was selling the idea of signing Encarnacion to Paul Dolan, the owner, he said, well, you know, a year from now, we could end up losing Santana. We better have a bat ready. So that's part of the reason they went, as they said, beyond budget to sign him. It was a rough week for the Indians at the winter meetings. Brian Shaw, 3 years, $27 million. Brian Shaw, $9 million a year, same that the Indians are paying Andrew Miller. It's like, oh my goodness, look at that. Joe Smith, this was a shocker to me. 2 years, $15 million for Joe Smith from the Astros. Kind of tough there because Joe Smith with the Astros, they're the team that went to the World Series from the American League, a big rival for the Indians. And then Santana goes to the Phillies. The Indians, their payroll's increasing by $30 million simply in terms of what player raises of guys under contract. You know, Corey Kluber, for example, Carlos Carrasco, Jason Kipnis, many others. I do know Chris Antonetti thought at some point he had a trade going. I believe it was with the Cubs, but I'm not positive. But I think losing Santana and losing the two relievers has put even more pressure on the front office to really go out and make a deal and bring in a hitter. Because right now, if you kind of look at that outfield and you look at first base, you know, first base, you could play Encarnacion there a little bit. I've talked about either playing Chisenhall or possibly Michael Brantley at first. You look in the outfield, you got Bradley Zimmer in center. By the way, Brandon Geyer, his wrist is not right. It's recovering from surgery. He may not be ready by opening day. We're not sure exactly when Brantley will be ready. He's supposed to be ready by opening day, but we'll have to see. And then you get into Tyler Naquin, Chisenhall playing again. He's playing first base or playing the outfield. They got to go get some guys. But what I really want them to do is go get a real outfielder. I'm going to say that again, a real outfielder, in honor of John Dorsey, a real player. By that I mean a guy that could play most of the time. Like they went and actually traded for one a year ago in the middle of last season. Jay Bruce is a real outfielder. I mean, I would love to see the Indians find a way to sign Bruce, but I looked at that money Santana got, and frankly, I think Bruce will probably get more. So, you know this, the Indians won 102 games. They got wiped out by the Yankees in the first round of the playoffs. Right now, you can't stand there and say this is as good a team as it was a year ago, not after losing Santana and after losing Shaw and after losing Joe Smith. It's not cataclysmic, but the big thing is this. The Indians still have starters. They could trade anybody from Ryan Merritt to Danny Salazar. Starting pitching is a huge need on many teams, including the Cubs. A guy that I like with the Cubs, I'll leave you with this name, Ian-Haap, H-A-A-P, Haap. He was a first-round pick in 2015, could play the outfield, could play some infield. This kid really is the kind of player the Indians should try to get, and I hope they do.